So I've been getting a lot of questions lately asking me, how do I get my POV drive videos to sound like this? And how do I get my 360 camera angles like this and to sit so steady? Today, you know what, I'll make a video showing all the gear that I use, how I mount everything, and then show you the end result and how it all works together. Alright guys, so welcome back to the channel. So if you've been watching for a while, you'd know that I absolutely love making POV driving videos on my Evo 10, my partner's red Evo 10, and also any other cars that I film. I generally try to get a POV driving video of them as well. In the few years that I've been doing this, I have gone through quite a range of gear, and I've sort of found a way that works best for the videos for me. I really am happy with the way they turn out, and I get quite a lot of people asking me the question of how exactly I make these videos. So I thought today I will go out and I will actually show you all the gear that I use and go exactly about how it all is set up. So around the back of the car here, I've got basically everything that I need apart from the camera that I'm currently holding, which is a GoPro Hero 8 Black. So firstly, for the POV videos, obviously I have this camera that I'm holding strapped to my head with either this GoPro head strap mount or with one of these little bite mounts. Between those two you can get a pretty good range of angles that are good for POV driving. I usually use the head strap one because when we talk about the audio side of things, there's actually a bit more on the camera. So I'm using the Hero 8 Black with the media mod. So that's an extra frame that goes around the camera that I'm currently holding. Then the media mod, the reason I have that is so that we can use external audio. So what I use is these Saramonic Blink 500 dual microphone pack. So this is the receiver. So this one will get strapped to the camera itself. So this will sit on top of the camera or on the side of the camera, and then allows me to, using Bluetooth, use two other separate microphones. So I use this one here in the engine bay, and then this one here with the lapel on the back of the car. So actually mount this little microphone here down to the number plate frame. So when I had the single exit exhaust, it was just over one side, so I would sort of mount it close to that. But I've generally found that if I just clip it here or anywhere close to the exhaust, that's going to get me the really good sound. You then, for each car it's going to be different. So for these, which I will link everything in the description by the way, for these microphones, these ones are very cheap basic ones, but they do the job fine, but they don't have a little screen on them to explain, you know, what level you've got them at. But you can see that blue light, as I keep pressing up in volume, it gets louder. So that's, maybe the light's broken or the camera's not picking it up, but that's full. So what I find is you have to basically adjust for each different car. I know for my cars what I need to have these set at, and I know this one goes in the engine bay, it's turned pretty low down, and the exhaust one, since I changed exhaust, I actually had to turn it up a little bit because my exhaust is now a little quieter, and I turned this one up a little bit more. So that's how I actually do the audio. Now, and for the front microphone, which I forgot to show where I mount, so what I like to do is I'll find somewhere close to the intake. So for me what I've found is I can mount this right here, and it is close to the intake. It'll get all the turbo sounds and everything, and I just have to make sure I turn it down nice and quiet. If you mount it to something metal, like this heat shield for example, it may rattle, so I just generally try and find something softer to mount it to, or I'll put some tape down onto any area that's going to sort of move it around. Now it's not perfect, every car's going to be different, you'll have something different to mount it to. Like I've tried a bunch of different spots in this car, but I found, yeah, somewhere in most cars seems to be intake area. If it's turbo, then great, and then it's hidden away, it's getting the sounds, and it's close enough to the camera and to the other microphone, the receiver and everything, that it all sort of works together. Now then, because this receiver is strapped in and plugged into the GoPro, and I'm filming on the GoPro, that's where the audio comes through. You can get better ones of these, which I would like to do. I'd like to get the Rode. Sorry, no, I was going to go the Rode. Now I'm going to go with the DJI, whatever brand that is, sorry, wireless mics, because they look a little bit better, and you can run separate audio. So if I want to turn up one or turn down one and just have audio over the exhaust, I can. With these, if they're both on and connected, I'm getting both all the time on the video. You can't separate them. So, but they do the job fine if you're using both. And yeah, maybe I will upgrade in the future, but for now, they've been working really well. Sometimes I like to get a second angle, so I like to strap this. This is actually the first GoPro I bought when I started the channel. It's a GoPro 7 Silver. So I'll strap this, I don't have the case for it at the moment, to this GoPro mount, and I can put it on the front of the car, down by the side of the wheel, like this here, for example. That's a really good shot to get, because we'll get the wheel as you're turning corners and stuff. Put it down up the middle of the bonnet, somewhere here. On the side doors, there's lots of different ways I can mount this just to get that extra angle. And then what I'll do when editing is I'll splice, obviously the audio from this one isn't going to be great, so I'll just splice that into the footage, and then I'll have the audio with these microphones, and I'll put this over the top, so I have that angle going back and forth. Now more recently, I've actually picked up a 360 camera. So I'll take this out of its little package. So I picked up the Insta360 X3. So this has been a lot of fun to play around with, and obviously that's how we get those crazy shots of the back of the car that look like someone is filming from behind, but really it looks like the camera is out here. But really, because it's a 360 camera, we're able to get those really cool shots. Now, how I achieve those is obviously to extend it out. We use the Insta360 selfie stick. So, sorry, I have to extend that out. So that, obviously, we can extend out nice and far, and that obviously screws straight into the camera. Now, I did originally try and just use my GoPro mount to do that. So I have an adapter that turns this into a thread so that I can mount this to it rather than the traditional GoPro feet. But it would, say if I sat that there and then I had the stick all the way out, this thing would be back here and it would wobble like crazy when you're driving. If you're turning a corner, it's swinging, it's bouncing when you're hitting bumps. It was just really messy footage. So what I did is I now just use this only for the second GoPro, and I picked up these two small rig double suction cups. Now one is, so I've actually adjusted it for a different angle, but I'll stick this one here on the back of the windscreen, and then I can obviously loosen this and point that there. So that we could just put the GoPro, the Insta360 straight onto it, or we can put the selfie stick and screw that down. And then, like, I didn't line this up at all, so maybe I should just fix it up a little bit. So that's really all you'd have to do. That's what a lot of people do. They pull this back like that, they put the camera onto it, and that's where you get that crazy wobbling. I also need to tighten this way up. So then that to me is just too wobbly. So what I did is I picked up a second small rig dual suction mount. I then picked up this small rig extendable, adjustable ball head joint with extender, and then this little clamp also from small rig. So I'll have all these linked in the description. But then I can mount this to the back of the boot, somewhere like that. If I even move the microfiber a little bit, I can just quickly give you an example. So I'll mount that there. Open this clamp up, adjust the camera down, or the selfie stick down, put it into the clamp like that, and then now you can see far less wobbling going on. And then if I extend this out a little bit more, put this end one in, because that's going to be, obviously the more you extend it, the thinner it gets. So what I like to do is try and not use this little one extended all the way out, but extend the other ones. So that's a lot more solid. Still moves a little bit, and obviously I can adjust. I haven't set this up well, I've just done this one hand real quick for the video. Then we'd put the camera on the back, go into the app on your phone for Insta360, and it'll look a little bit like this. So as you can see now, we've got the wide view of the car, and we could use it in 16:9 mode if you're making like a reel or Instagram, YouTube short, or an Instagram reel or something, or a TikTok, or you can just use it in the 16:9 mode for YouTube. And that you can also use these wireless mics with. So there is an adapter you can get, which I do have, but what I've found is when using these, it's just not as good, the audio, as you get from the GoPro. It's because it's not actually, it's using a little adapter that you're plugging in, it's just not quite getting the same level of audio. I've tried it. I think it's best to do the same thing that I was talking about when I used this camera, which is to use the GoPro that I'm currently holding and have that on my head, or just recording for the audio at the least, whether I'm using that footage or not, but then use this for the footage, splice them together, use the audio from the other GoPro or from any other camera that has a wireless mic option. So it doesn't have to be a GoPro, it could just be like, I have my Canon camera as well that I could be using, but as long as I'm getting audio using this into a proper camera, not into this. I don't know if it's my microphones that don't work as well with this, with the audio adapter that you can buy for these, but it just doesn't seem to pick up the crisp audio that I can get using the GoPro or the Canon. So that's basically how I do it, and it ends up giving me the results like this. Okay, so there's the final setup. I'd be driving off, the car would look like this. Yes, it has a camera hanging off the back, probably a little bit obnoxious, but this thing is solid. Yes, it moves around a little bit, but through the cameras, like itself, it's like a gimbal, it smooths everything out, and this is a lot less wobble. That's as much as it can wobble, and it's not going anywhere. It is on there nice and firm. So I've driven this like on the track like that, doing a little bit of roll racing. I've done a bunch of mountain runs, and the thing is on there solid. It does not go anywhere at high speeds and at hard cornering. It's actually been pretty crazy how well that thing works, that little setup, and it's like a common setup for these days. I originally just tried to do it the old-fashioned way with a dual suction mount, and it was wobbling too much. A lot of people are happy with that, but I saw some other people that recommended going with this clamp option, because I was definitely wanting something that would hold this a little bit firmer. So yeah, that's the setup. That's what it's going to look like driving off. So driving around like that maybe looks crazy. You kind of forget it's there when you're driving, to be honest. And then you'll also have a GoPro on your head potentially, or mounted to the side of the car, or the bonnet somewhere on the front of the car as well. So yeah, you're going to look a little bit weird driving around, but that's how I capture those POV driving videos. The audio, that's also how I capture in my feature videos of other cars. I will have the microphones mounted the exact same way I showed, and I'll just use the Canon camera on the gimbal, and I'll be hanging out another car getting rollers or something like that. So that's how I get all the audio, that's how I get all the video. So hopefully that helps. From now on, if anyone asks me that question, I can just link them this video, because it shows exactly how it's done. And yeah, hopefully I've remembered to put a link in the description to all the products that I have, that all the gear that I used for this video today. And yeah, that's going to be basically it. So just a little short one. I was going to drive around and do the whole show how the whole setup works, but it's actually slightly raining, and using these 360 cameras when it starts raining, one little drop on the lens and on either lens and the whole footage is ruined. So I've got plenty of other footage already that I can throw in that you guys would have seen. So that's what I did instead. So I just sort of showed the setup, and yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it or found it helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm happy to help wherever I can. I'm only an amateur mucking around learning these things as I go, making this YouTube channel. So yeah, if I can help in any way I will. But yeah, that's going to be it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.